Hello and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook and it is episode 425 and I'm just trying to work out, is that the last one before Game of the Year? And I'll be honest with you, the way things are right now, I'm not even sure. To my left or right, I'll never ever get the hang of mirrored cameras or whether they are or not. So if you're not watching this, which won't matter, but Mick Fraser is on next to me at somewhere on the screen if you're watching it. Yeah. He's in the top line there where I'm not. Hello, Mick.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I was going to ask if you were
confused by your own camera work.
I'm trying to not let on that I'm like excruciatingly tired, and I'm not going to go on about it because I haven't yet introduced underneath me on the video, which you should watch, Christopher Hyde.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm slightly concerned about the continuity issue for those watching in a couple of weeks. That's just occurred to me live on the podcast. But we can't do anything about time travel, not here, unless we were to travel, I don't know, 57 years into the future.
Approximately.
Just a rough number.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes these numbers plucked out your head. Let's not beat around the bush. This week's podcast, we're not going to spoil anything. We've got Game of the Year stuff to come. But there's one huge game that is out. And I think this is going to be a very interesting podcast. And I don't say that because I'm on it and it's like, hey, it's our podcast, it's great. I think there's going to be a lot of conflicting views about this game. But a man I know who has played 50 plus hours of it, has finished the story mode. I'm going to say finished, and I'm going to have to do it like that. And for those not watching, inverted commas, because I don't know if this is a game you can finish. Mick Fraser, you reviewed it, 10 out of 10. You love it.
Yep, I do love it.
You played on PC. I've played on PC. Chris Hyde has played on Xbox Series X, but not because.
But not. I played it on a Series X, but not the Series X version. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to obviously we want to hear what Mick has to say because he's played the most. But I have to admit, and I wonder if Mick's the same. I kind of want to know how it runs on that Xbox Series X.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and we should actually, that's something we should get up front. When it comes to like requesting review code, none of the three of us here really give a shit about what format we review a game on, as long as we can play the game. I did get the feeling, just a feeling that this was only PC. But it was one of those games where it was kind of like, I kind of wanted to play it on PC anyway. I think Mick did. And then we did get console review code after the review embargo. And Mick and I were already playing it on PC. Chris White is playing on PS5. PS4 on PS5. There's a lot to get. I mean, I don't even know where to begin with this game. I mean, just how does it run from what you've played, Chris?
I mean, it runs fine. Like it does run fine. I think we'll get into specifics. I think of like bugs and stuff, which I think are similar across the board. But I've had no problems with it running. I've seen a lot of comparisons in the last couple of days in terms of PC versus console. I think some of those
I don't know that they serve
exaggerated a little bit as well.
I don't know who they serve because I think no matter what game you compare PC to console, I think. Unless the only time it would be different, and this is just not going to happen, is if somehow like Horizon Zero Dawn, when it came to PC, that was a console exclusive. Generally speaking, I would be alarmed, even on these new consoles, if the PC footage that was out there didn't look better than a console. Like,
yeah, no, I agree. I think it serves. I mean, I think not since The Last of Us 2 have I seen such a divisive game as this, in terms of the people that love it really, really love it. The people that hate it just want to hate on it, and it's
I
feel like anything to beat it or praise it. I think at this stage, I feel is what this game. So I think what I've seen in terms of the same image but on PC or on a Series X, it's certainly not my experience. The Series X looked like it was, I don't know, drawn with an Etch-a-Sketch. Although that's not my experience of it. It looks perfectly fine on a Series X.
Right.
Like I say, I think it's over dramatized. I think to try and make points. And that's all it is.
Of course, it is sort of thing.
My experience of playing the game for the 6 or so hours I've played so far, in terms of it running, has been absolutely fine.
What about? Can I ask a specific question there? There's two. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mick will know what I'm asking here. There's two points where even on. I mean, again, this is such a. This is a clusterfuck. Even trying to talk about this is a clusterfuck, and it's kind of annoying me now. Mick's played it pre-release, post-patch, post-proper patch. I've played it pre-released and post half a patch. You're playing it, I guess, as retail final.
Yeah.
At the point, I haven't actually had a chance to sit down and play it. Like, now it's out. But before that, on PC, it didn't like you driving. The frame rate wouldn't like that. And the mirrors, whenever you look in a mirror, it doesn't like the frame rate when you look in a mirror. But I don't know if they fixed that. And I don't know if it's present like that on console.
They definitely fixed that on PC.
Okay, well, because that's the other thing. The game ran worse, by the way, and this is another one. And again, it's kind of like, it's almost irrelevant because it's not the case now, and I'm sure Mick's about to tell me that. The game ran better on my PC in Ultra than it did on very high. But NVIDIA have released their drivers now, and
I will say I have had two of those near crashes where the game looks like it's so if I explain it, what's happened, like it literally freezes. And I'm like, oh my god, it's crashed.
You see, that's not a PC thing at all at any point.
So I feel like it thinks like it's crashed, and then
what, like the game the visual...
Yeah, like it literally, literally
wow,
freezes.
Okay, no, I never had that, not once.
And then a fair few seconds later, it suddenly catches up with itself and goes. And one of those was driving.
Oh, I know the kind you mean.
Yeah,
like it. Yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that's twice in 6 hours. So...
That seems more like a sort of texture streaming issue, like the game's not streaming properly from the hard drive, but it must be.
Yeah.
Because I never saw that on PC once. Should we talk about if we like the game?
Yeah, we probably should.
I don't know. I mean, I started this. It's my fault, but like, I feel like we should talk about, because I mean, it is important because people are excited about this game and have waited 8 years for this game, and it's like, and all the stats. You know, I don't know if you guys are caught up on this, but the game sold 8 million copies based on pre-orders alone. So I would say it's probably closer to 10. I would have thought, because people. I think I saw even regular listener and correspondent Darren ROTMM on Twitter, who does like giveaways and stuff, and he did a giveaway of the game, and the person who won it, he didn't need the code because he'd actually bought it because he just couldn't wait. He just so there's the game's hype. The game's hyped.
Yeah.
For good reason, because they've got pedigree. But there's a danger of over-talking the performance, because if someone comes to this in 6 weeks, maybe more, but you know what I mean. It's historically important, but it's gone. There is one thing I just have to ask before we get into whether we like the game. Mick and I had obviously a lot of bugs in our playthroughs. Are there any floating guns on the Xbox?
So I've had a floating something. In
penis?
It wasn't a penis. I've not seen any dildos yet. I'm really disappointed. Maybe I'm not.
Really? Maybe they've packed some of them out.
Off it. You've not seen any dildo.
Well,
there are so many dildos. It's ridiculous how many dildos are in this game.
You say this. Me and Adam went on an hour-long mission looking for a dildo and didn't find one. But I've not. I mean, I've just been doing the missions. So maybe in the place I've been so far, I've not gone to side missions yet. I will do, but I wanted to get my feet under the table with the story for the start. So I've not seen any of those, but I have been in buildings and I've seen like a random floating light in the middle of the room that shouldn't be there. I think it was a light anyway. Should have been on the floor.
Cigarettes, phones, and guns tend to float.
Mick, these console noobs have got off lightly, mate. They weren't there. They didn't see, man. They didn't see the literal rooms full of floating. What was it called? Is it like a hammerhead? The gun? What's that gun you see a lot of early on? Like a D5 or?
Yeah.
You know the one. And oh my god, those things. Something like that, yeah. Let's talk about the game.
Mm-hmm. Go, Mick.
Well,
what do you want to know?
Well, what do you? I mean,
because I've enjoyed it more than you, haven't I? You've had your reservations.
I have been thinking about this game non-stop. I'd say solidly for a week now, because I feel like every hour I've never really felt this way about a video game. Because I mean, there was today I was walking around, headphones on, listening to another podcast, actually, and I was just thinking about this game. I mean, it's all anyone's talking about, let's be honest. And I was thinking about The Witcher and how much I love that game, and The Witcher 2, which I still actually is one of my favourite games from them. And I was actually thinking about how much this Cyberpunk is kind of, not coasting, it's the wrong word, but how much trust they built up, I think, via The Witcher 2. But to be honest with you, via CDPR's history, to the point where, like, I think if someone would have announced a CD Projekt Red releasing a game, it's called this, you'd be like, that's cool, I'm there, I'm in for it, it'll be great, it'll be great. And I was actually wondering, for me, and I don't speak for God as a Geek, I speak personally for me, I don't know if this has actually damaged that legacy a little bit for me. Because I don't think I've ever seen a game this messy. Like, I was just thinking about, and it's all part of the game, and it maybe is minutiae. But for example, when you bring up your inventory and you go to your guns, and you've got the 3 gun slots, and you pick a gun, and you know there's a better one because it tells you basically it's new guns, blah, 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 go and have a look at them. The inventory's terrible. Like, you can hover over a gun, and it pops up the flavour text. Not just guns, this is inventory generally. It pops up the flavour text, and you're reading it, and you go, okay, no, I don't want that one. And you go to one next to it, and it pops up the flavour text, and the flavour text pops up over the inventory. And I'm like, oh, I can't see. Or like when you scrap a gun, or break it, not scrap, when you break it down to its components, that gun vanishes. But then the menu all kind of moves up and round one. And the thing is, I'm sure I've already seen the comments in our videos, so I know people are not going to be happy that there's a single element I might not like about this video game, because how dare you not think it's perfect? But
I don't think it's perfect.
No, and that's fine. But like,
I have to say that the menu thing, I was doing it. I think I was selling stuff last night. Because I'm a hoarder, right? If that surprises anybody. Oh, there's a hexagon item there that I must go and pick that up.
And there's a lot. We should say, if you have not played this game, my word, you go in a room, you scan it. Whoa, there's, I would say, upwards of 5 to 10 things in every room. And it's really weirding me out. Joking aside, that you have not seen a dildo, because Mick and I, It's weird.
They're everywhere.
They are, and they're archaic. You wouldn't think people used them in this.
There's like a really giant one.
Yes.
That turns up all the time on sides. And
it was in toilets.
And I was doing like a side mission. I had to go into like a hospital, and like I'm in one of the wards, and there's like a hospital bed, and there's all this equipment, and then behind the hospital bed, there's like this 15-inch fucking death machine sitting on the floor, and I was just like, what?
That's
like
the title.
I guess they've just thrown like the whatever the logic engine for their loot is. I don't know, but I guess they've just gone, this is the loot pool, throw it out there, because all that stuff is just junk. Like, if you don't go down the specific route where you break down the junk, you'll end up with an inventory full of it.
Yep.
So
I will say one thing I quite liked, and I don't know if maybe it's the way I played or spec, but I kept forgetting encumbrance was a thing, because I never got close. Well, I mean, I got close, but by the time I got close, I was near somewhere to sell me junk or I had like 15 of one gun. But back to the original point I was going to make, is that people will be angry about, it's just inventory, but it's an RPG, and I don't really feel that they've learned an awful lot from The Witcher.
They haven't, because it's
in terms
just
of that,
like The Witcher 3's inventory.
Yeah, I think a lot worse.
And their job list, that awful job list.
That is.
I mean, it's just, you have to scroll right to the fucking bottom to find some, and it's really irritating. Like, there are easier and better ways of doing it, and
yes. Why aren't they looking around other people, what they're doing, solutions that have been... These aren't problems that haven't been solved. Do you know what I mean?
And like, obviously, like, the menus, obviously, then there's subsections within the menus, but there's not easy ways to flip between the two.
No, it feels like there should be a left trigger and bumper solution. Yeah, but some of them you just have to go the Destiny cursor across to...
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Please stop doing that. Please stop. Stop. Not CD Projekt Red. Everyone, please stop. Please stop Destiny cursoring every menu in every game. Please. Can we go back to proper menus that are controllable with a controller? But that's neither here nor there, nor the dildos. I think so. Yeah, sorry to sort of go way back, like Mick saying I wasn't as keen. I think today and this is how big of a game this is and how impressive this game is, that it's taken me like a week of almost not playing it to be like, right, critical head on. How do I actually get across how I feel about this game? Because it's just such an enormous thing. And I think the best way I can describe how I feel about it, right, is when Ubisoft make a game, you get this big long list of studios, like let's say Valhalla, for example, because I'm sure that I haven't played enough of it to know, but I'm sure that was made by Ubisoft Montreal, Ubisoft Quebec, every Ubisoft, you know what I mean?
They will chip in bits.
Yeah, but the thing about them is if you didn't know that, and if they weren't listed, I always feel like those games would still feel like they were made by a studio. And I think that's probably to their credit, and maybe because they've done it now so much, that it's just and the Call of Duty have become the same now, haven't they? They're like the other Call of Duty studios are all chipping in, like Sledgehammer, Treyarch. They're all. For me, Cyberpunk 2077 feels that like there are multiple studios working on it, but some of them had kind of more power. Like I feel like an enormous amount of work went into the world, and the voice acting. And I think some of the other elements suffer, because this is the important thing. I don't think like the gunplay is bad. Like I'm not here to say, oh yeah, the shooting's shit. But I think, and Mick, you and I, we talked about this because I remember saying this to you. There was a moment, I think you had even longer. I had a period where for like 3 hours didn't fire a gun. It was like a Knights of the Old Republic. It was just an RPG. I was just kind of leveling up by being V.
Yeah, existing.
Yeah, existing. And what I found is that in those moments, I was like, I love this game. I love this game. But then what I found is when I was in the combat moments, I would be like, this is all right. And again, just to try and be a bit more eloquent about why, in a game that's like Cyberpunk, should be all about the hacks and the shit, I feel like they don't actually kind of really go for it. Like I feel like it's the hacking in this, and it's funny that like Watch Dogs Legion is on our list for the chat about this week, because I feel like it's kind of boils down to the similar thing, is that you kind of, whether it's first person and third person, but you kind of aim at, like I aim at Mick, select something and hit a button, and it kind of just hacks him. And I sort of want to know, but I also don't want to be spoiled. Like, I wonder how much they go into the cyberspacey sort of cyber aspect, other than the sort of body horror stuff. Yeah, I feel so complex about this game because I can't sit here and go I don't like it, because I kind of want to play it right now. And even like Chris, the video you and I did, like showing that world, like it's fucking impressive. No two ways about it. I'll sit here and listen to anyone say, "Oh, the bugs this," and all the negativity, and I've got negative thoughts on it, and Mick will have too, because a 10 out of 10 does not mean it's perfect. But I'm afraid I can't entertain people saying like, "Oh, that world shit." I can't entertain that.
No.
Yeah.
I think the combat. I think a lot of this stuff heavily relies on your build, right?
Yes.
And it does. It is an RPG. I mean, I think, at the risk of sounding like somebody who gave the game a 10 and is now complaining, there's too many skills.
It's a lot,
the game, right?
Yeah.
Now I know. Now a large percentage of the skill trees are 5% to crit, 10% to stamina regen. All that stuff is really neither here nor there unless you're playing on sort of the harder difficulties. Then you kind of do need that stuff,
right.
I feel. But there are some really cool skills in there if you want to go down.
Yes.
But you kind of do have to. I mean, it's hard to say it without spoilers, but let's put it this way. When I was done with as far as I was going to take a particular playthrough,
right,
which I finished the game, finished as many side stories as I felt I needed to finish that.
Yes.
And then I looked at the skill tree and I was like, I've unlocked about 20% of this. Like, like there were so many skills. There were entire branches I hadn't even touched. And
could you? That's something I meant to ask you. I mean, again, you like you said, you back the playthrough, but I was wondering actually because I know early on I noticed each of the kind of the skill tree, sort of the main, because you've got a skill tree, and then once you click into it, there's like
little branches.
They all kind of like seem to be up to like level 20-ish. Yeah. Could you, in theory, 20 the lot?
If you put,
because there's a lot of content to play,
300 hours in.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. You could, in theory.
I think somebody will max out.
Oh God, yeah, of course they will. Somebody already has. I would bet that.
I think you can probably, because obviously the skill trees are perks, and you get extra perk points all the time. Like you get a skill point and a perk every time you level up. But then every time you use a particular trait a lot, you get another perk point. So
and the street cred is separate to that as well as
the street cred is more about separate to that as well. Yeah, street cred I think has a cap, but I don't want to say what it is in case it's spoiler. And I'm
but
right,
that confused me because I went because you went originally nomad, and I went street kid. So I thought the street cred was related to me being a street kid. Because another thing, Mick and I, again, not to be like, oh, we talked about this and we talked, but another thing we mentioned, and I think I was the first one to say this to you, something I really appreciated about this game at first is how they're like, you've played a video game before, but this is a video game, it's a first-person video game, we're just going to go.
Does that a lot.
But then, that's the thing, and then you're like, okay, no, you're right, I do, thank you, thank you for respecting me, CD Projekt Red, but then it's like, a billion neon lights flashing in your face, and it's almost like the game's arguing. I wondered if it was a bug at one point where the rapidity of how many phone calls and text, like you will get a phone call while you're speaking to someone in a story mission, and I wondered if, and I that's why I kind of want to play it now, is that I want to know if that's a bug.
No, it's not. There's a few moments
because I had it with Judy, mate. I was trying to talk to Judy, and I accidentally pressed the button to answer the phone call, and she kind of got shitty with me, and I'm like, no, don't make Judy not like me.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Sometimes they get shitty with you when you do it. Like the game.
I mean, she was right to. I basically was, and I was close to her, Mick. Really close, probably too close. It's personal space.
As close as I was.
No, I'm sure. I'll get there. I'll get there. Maybe. But then this phone call, when I just start talking, and she was just like leaning there like this against the railing, and I'm like, I'd be pissed off too, because it's that thing of, have you ever had that where, and we've all had it, I'm sure, where you're talking to someone and their phone goes, sorry, I got to get this, and you're like, no, you haven't. You're talking to me. You're talking to me right now. They can wait.
Off then, shall I?
Yeah, I'll just leave. And it was and she was right to be angry. I'd have been angry with me too.
I tell you what it is, right?
Judy. Or Panam, any of them.
Oh, Panam. God, I tell you what.
He hasn't met her yet.
Haven't you? Jesus Christ. I really shouldn't talk about video game women. No,
I maybe shouldn't have mentioned it.
But honest to God, Judy and Panam are something else, mate. Anyway.
Yes.
As I was saying.
Yes.
I get I've read since the review came out, since I've started a new playthrough now, and I'm trying to do things differently, and I'm seeing some really cool things. Like CD Projekt Red have done some really cool things with this game. Like the story is okay. The campaign, I saw that people had done it in like, was it 20 hours or 15 hours?
I think if you've done that, you're playing the. I know I'm gonna. I don't know if I want to say that.
I think if you.
I was going to say I think you'd be playing the game wrong if you completed it in 20 hours, but I don't want that on record that I said that. But I just think that is someone who is almost going, I want to get my review out before you fuckers. It really felt a bit like you played it in 20 hours. You robbed yourself, I think.
If somebody came to me and said, here's my review, I've played 20 hours and finished the story, and someone else came to me and said, here's my review, I've played 80 hours and I'm about 75% through the actual story, that's the one I'd go for, because the world is fucking huge. There are the places on the map that even now a percentage into a second playthrough I haven't been to, and they're not superfluous. They'll be there for something at some point, and I do, and it very. So I was confused by, not confused. What's the word? Astounded, I guess, by how it weaves the Johnny Silverhand stuff in. So I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, but before we delve into that, I've heard people say about. I mean, that's Keanu Reeves, right? I mean, that's not a spoiler, right?
Yeah.
I like that stuff, but it seems I'm I've heard people say it's not written well, and listen, you shouldn't listen to everyone and what they say. You should form your own opinion. Every time he appeared, and that's all I'll say, just he appeared, I was captivated by it.
Yeah.
Now, there's an element you could argue is like, oh, so you made the game. I mean, I wonder at what point he was on board. Like, was Johnny Silverhand always there?
No, see, Keanu Reeves asked, didn't he?
I didn't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
It's on record as he actually asked. He asked them to double his screen time. He asked them to double his.
Cool.
I think for no extra money either. I think he was just like, I love this character. I love this story. Because I want more of it.
Think about Kiefer Sutherland for a minute and Metal Gear 5. It's not that. Like, I was actually... Because I think we're conditioned when they do... Even Norman Reedus in Death Stranding, he doesn't have a tremendous amount of dialogue, really. He's actually quite quiet. But
Keanu's
in this...
got lots in this.
I mean, to the point where I'm like, wow, I'm genuinely shocked at how much this high profile... Like, he's a AAA actor. Do you know what I mean? For want of a better phrase, there's a lot of him.
I mean, he's essentially the voice in your ear, isn't he? Like, you know, like these games where you've got someone on the end of who chips in with random quips, and that's Johnny Silverhand.
Can I ask a question about him that is a very minor spoiler, but one I was...
Yeah. I'll just put my fingers in.
No, it's not. When there's a. I think they've shown this actually. There's a scene where he kind of tells you, you don't have to speak out loud to me, like. Yeah. But I was a bit surprised that then from then on the subtitles aren't like brackets.
Yeah. No.
You know, like internal. Is he or she? Are you? That is internal after.
Yeah, you internalise it all from that
because it's not audibly and visually internal. But I wondered if it was missed. It just needed like an almost. Yeah, like you say, like internal.
Could have done with putting it in brackets or something. Because I thought, italicizing.
I know he's, you know, you're not well, but like, you're still just talking to. I mean, I actually really also, just for the record, because people will talk about the writing of this game a lot as the weeks and months grow. I actually really appreciate when a game does that, because when Johnny says that, just 10 seconds earlier, I thought, why the fuck is he speaking out loud to him? And they literally go, yeah, we got you. We'll explain that right now, and we'll deal with that right now. And I like that a lot.
I think, to be honest, from my point of view, personally, I think he's a tremendously well-written character. But you do have to go the length of the game with him, because when he comes into it at the beginning.
That's what kind of is making me want to come back to it more.
Because when he comes into the game, he's a dick. Like, that's not a spoiler.
He's an asshole.
He's a dick. His character.
That's where I'm at now.
Right, so he's a dick.
He's unlikable to the extreme.
And he remains. But the good thing about it is, the clever thing that this game does is that by the end of the game, he might still be a dick if you're a dick to him. There's so much. I've not seen a game where there is so much relationship between your character and another character that you're in control of. Like, it's not just binary choices. It's not just, well, I'll do what you say or I won't. Everything feeds in. There's a point in the story, quite late in the story, again, no spoiler, but he tells you not to do something. Like, he quite regularly says, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do this. But sometimes he's wrong. Like, he's not all-knowing. He's got his own agenda, and sometimes he's wrong. So you'll do things, and it'll come out the other side, and V'll have an option in the dialogue to say something like, "I fucking told you so, Johnny," or whatever. And there's a point towards the end of the story where I'd gone through all this with him, and he started to tell me not to, like he had done with every other job. He'd chipped in to say, this is dangerous, it's a trap, whatever. And he started to say this one, and he got halfway through the sentence and said, fuck it, you don't listen to me anyway.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And I thought, I wonder, because there's so much dynamic dialogue between you and Johnny. But the whole story is...
Because there's moments, sorry, Mick, but there's moments when he does appear where I'm worried, like, shit, hang on, I need to just kind of look at him to see if he says something. Because I'm not sure we're done with this chat, and I don't want to miss a bit of Johnny.
There's moments where he just pops up.
That's what I mean.
He's just there. He's just there doing something.
Like, he will just be in the background, and you're like, should I was going there, but I have a question about him, and this is not a spoiler, but I have to know. So what I will do in this request is this is going to be video only, right? I'm going to ask a question to Mick, and I just need you to just nod or, yes or no, basically. Okay. Given what I think all three of us know about his character and how he comes to be in the game. This game's got sex scenes in it, right? So, potentially, during those sex scenes, and I'll just leave that, you can just shake or nod your head now. Okay, fucking hell. That's actually made me really want to go and play it more now. That's actually really, I
won't say not.
No, but I think
there's definitely ramifications for everything you do that Johnny sees you do.
That's exactly what. Yeah, you've got it. You've got it exactly what I'm like. It just occurred to me the other day. I was like, yeah.
But this is a game about ramifications like that. I mean,
it's also a game about sex. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a bit where I got called to do a side gig because I thought they were ringing me. Like I put in the review, I got a call every 4 minutes because I was, and it wasn't until I realised that. Actually, it's when you go near a gig on the map that they ring, but it just so happens that there are fucking gigs everywhere. So, and there's so many side jobs and gigs. So someone will ring you. Well, I got a call, went to do a job for this guy, and then a little bit later, I was trying to do the fisticuff, the bare knuckle boxing, but I can't do. I couldn't do that.
I've been meaning to go back to that because it was really hard.
Even at the very end of the game, because I wasn't spec enough to even. I couldn't fight them.
Can you just pull a weapon out and kill the fuckers?
No, you're not allowed. You can't do that. You can't. It won't let you pull a weapon out.
That's kind of a shame.
I went to do a bare knuckle fight, and this guy who I happened to have done a job with earlier on was the guy I was fighting, and he was just like, "Hey, V, this is a coincidence," and I was like, "That's pretty cool." But I think so. Without again, I'm not going to spoil any details, but the Johnny Silverhand stuff is both integrated in the main story, and there's a whole side thing like there is with pretty much every character you meet in this game. There's so many side mission lines. Pretty much every character you get involved with has some kind of a mission line that you can follow, and Johnny has his own. And I was wondering if you were to have played this game and just done the story mission, you'd have done some bits with Johnny. There are some things that you have to do with Johnny during the main mission. There's a whole lot of stuff that you do with Johnny. And also, he also has moments and input and influence on the stuff you do that doesn't necessarily concern him, stuff you do for other characters. And I do think that anybody who, I think, I mean, no one's going to now. I think that was people that got the code early and wanted to get the review out or wanted to get their
often it was people who managed to get a copy without going the same route we would have to go as well, that wanted to kind of beat us to a review as well.
Yeah.
Not us specifically, I mean us media, as it were.
I do think that this game, I've never seen, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit hyperbolic because I can't.
You give it a 10 out of 10. You're allowed. It's fine.
I don't like the melee combat. I still can't really
said in the review, didn't you?
Combat. I did like the shooting. I think that opens up. The more skills you put into it, the better weapons you get. Your skill with the game. I really, by the end, I was just like, give me more gunfights, which it still didn't. You still get gunfights at a steady pace, but I wanted more. But what this game does, I've never, ever, ever seen a game do as well, is how even The Witcher didn't do it this well. Grand Theft Auto can't do it this well, is how it integrates all those side missions, all of them, into the main mission to the point where you don't really know whether you're doing a main mission or a side mission, or do you know what I mean? Or the gigs are separate. The gigs are on their own. So the gigs
like the whole Pan Am thing. I don't even know if that's actually a part I have to do, or it sort of felt like I ended up there. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not even a nomad.
Yeah, but it carries on, you see, and there's loads of stuff with the nomad. I don't know if that stops at a certain point for like the corpos and the street rats, because I haven't got there yet, because I'm playing a corpo now. I haven't done a street rat yet. No. So, but it's so fucking clever. Like, and it's not just a case of, like, oh, you can stop halfway through that mission line and go and do another one. It's not like you can in Grand Theft Auto. It's not like that. In this, people relate to the thing that you've just done or the thing that you're about to do. And you get the text messages from people in the middle, or you get phone calls from people in the middle.
That I did like. I like that you can reply to I like that you can actually phone people.
Yeah.
I like that. That adds... I haven't seen that I can think of in many games, where you can bring up your phone and ring, or where it tells you as a mission, hey, you need to ring, I don't know, okay, whoever, and it's like, and I remember being there and be like, well, how do I ring someone? I don't know how to ring someone. And I asked you, and it was like, Oh, you can ring people, and that to me, because in every other game, you start the quest and it will make you phone. They just phone them for you.
Yeah,
and I think the immersion wise, that adds a great deal.
I think also some of the chaos does. Like, I won't argue with you about the menus. Some of them are awful. And I do think there's far too much stuff in this game sometimes. Like, there's too much loot and there's too many.
A little bit. There's a
little bit too much of it. But I do believe that they don't make games in a way. It sounds silly. They don't make games like this anymore. What I mean is they don't make games anymore where they want you to finish a playthrough and do another playthrough. Most games now want you to do everything in one playthrough.
Yeah.
Like, look at Valhalla. You could just respec
the
whatever
DLC.
you want. Whereas in Cyberpunk, if you you can't respec your skills. You can't change what you've got. So if you get to
you can't change your hair, which I know
that pisses me off a little bit. But again, you're once you're in that character, you're in that character. So you are, and I do like that. So in some ways, because like I've started a corpo guy now, and I'm thinking, well, I want to build my body up because I want to do those bare knuckle fights.
You want to
do
the things you missed.
Yeah, all those little bits that I couldn't, and I just physically couldn't do, and I couldn't just go, fuck it, I'll respec and just put all my points into that for this fight. You can't do that.
No.
And I like that. It's quite. It feels. I mean, CD Projekt Red make good role playing games. That's you know they know how to make you play a role, and again, I have to say no spoilers before I mention anything story wise.
Yeah.
But I mean, I saw a review where somebody had said that there was no emotional payoff for a lot of the stuff. And I think there are some things that end in this game and you think, well, I thought that was going to go a different way. But I think there's like 7 endings. And the ending I got without any details whatsoever, I fucking felt sad after. I felt like that was like what had happened affected me for a good couple of hours afterwards. I was like, fucking hell. And I didn't I could have just save scummed it and gone back and just done it. But I thought I don't want to. I want to do because
that's quite powerful because that means you truly believe your story.
That's
that was
how
your
that
story. That's how it
ended.
worked. That's how it ended. Yeah.
And now I'm going to go and do it again. And so I get every criticism that anyone. This is not a game where I'll go, yeah, but I'm not going to do that because I can see every criticism leveled at this game that I've seen really has been kind of valid from a certain point.
But that doesn't stop it resonating with you on a level that it hasn't yet with me, perhaps. I will ask you a question. Is this game going to get a third-person view?
I hope not.
You hope not?
I really wanted that. When they took third person out, when they first announced they're taking third person out, I was like, oh, fucking hell. That's not, I wanted that to be third. I want to see my character. But then I get the kind of, when I play like Watch Dogs Legion, which I know we're going to talk about, when I play that, and it's in third person, and it's got that kind of cartooniness about it, and I don't know what it is, but the fact that in Cyberpunk you're just in you're in that point of view, and you can't get out of it. So what she sees or he sees, I was a she. What that character sees is what you see. What that character, for immersion, I think it works better first person. So I don't know if they might add it because I just wonder because
they did it the other way round with Witcher, didn't they? No.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto.
So
first person.
We've kept Chris Hyde quiet for quite some time there, and he's obviously not played as much as us, or certainly as you. But
it's made it harder to chip in on some of the later stuff. Obviously, it kind of. I want to go and play it again now. Like right now, I want to go and play it with all that we're talking about it, which I think is a testament to it. I think, as much as we've criticised some of the kind of like technical bugs and all that sort of stuff, I still am really enjoying. Yeah, I'm still really enjoying the overall experience, and I do feel like.
Oh, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
It's all right. I'm still really enjoying it. I still want to play more. I still want to keep going. I mean, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. I've not done hardly any side mission and stuff yet because I wanted to just progress the story a bit before I do that, and then
I think maybe you've done the right thing because you've kind of got to the key point.
Without spoiling anything, I think I have as well, and then now I think
now you can kind of
spread my wings, and just go
and do
for
what
it.
you feel.
And I think I'm going to really enjoy that next part of it. So I can't wait to play more of it. even in spite of the bugs and stuff, and
they will get lessened and lessened. Like they will. That's just the way games work now.
I enjoy Skyrim. I enjoy The Witcher 3 and stuff, in spite of those things. You know what I mean?
Remember what Skyrim was in?
I know.
That was in when it launched.
Exactly. And
now they just announced it for Xbox.
Yeah, Game Pass. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
I would actually put this more akin to Fallout New Vegas on PS3.
Yeah.
In terms of its bugginess, I can't.
It's a Fallout type world. That's the best.
It's that kind of game. I can't pretend that this isn't one of the buggiest games I've played in a great while, but I haven't played it post-patch, so.
And it feels like I've only played 6 hours, but I just feel like there's so much potential I've yet to kind of see. And
which path did you choose?
I'm a nomad.
Okay. It wasn't judging you. I was just intrigued.
No. So yeah, I just felt like I couldn't bring myself to be Corpo in the first
Same.
playthrough.
Even that as well. Even that, when you choose that life path, life path thing comes up through the entire playthrough. Like even side quests, even incidental stuff, how people talk to you, how they react to you. That it really matters. What
so like
path
as a street thing, I get quite a lot of respect of people. Like I've had missions where they go like, "Oh, you're V, yeah, you're well known around here," because I'm a sort of local. I'm the opposite of what you guys are. I haven't come from being lonely and out of town. I've been in Night City and I've been in the weeds, and I never even thought about that when I was playing it because it was my V. But yeah.
It seems on the Nomad, just from what I've played, you get more kind of conversation trees around sort of like family and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I've got none of that.
Background stuff. I think you've got the little icons, haven't you? It tells you. I'm guessing it's like if you're high enough in this level, you can have this dialogue option. Because it does it for your stats as well. Like certain stats give you different options. So like intelligence, I guess, or technical knowledge and stuff. You can say different things. Yeah. And it's blurred out if you're not.
I will say, just as a quick tip with that, I will say it's worth pushing at least one. Like
yes, that's
you see those things all the
way
time,
isn't it?
Because I pushed technical and I pushed intelligence. Technical and cool on V. I had technical and cool. And in later game stuff, they're very high requirements, so it's worth at least just pushing at least one of those.
I love there's a cool stat. Can I just say, I think all the things that you kind of have is like, then I've got a cool rating. I think that's good. Can I just say one thing that really has irritated me in the 6 hours? And it's really minute, and it's probably just me, but it irritates me the way he gets into bed. Sorry, it's a he for me.
So I totally agree with you.
Does he climb on the sheets?
It's
fully clothed.
Yeah, and he lays next to the pillows.
Yeah. It's like, turn your
really
pillows
weird.
round, mate. Turn your pillow round.
Turn your pillows round or your body. But
do one. But it's
first time I did that, I was
there
like,
was a lot more in that apartment that they took out. Though,
I think you're right. I think
there's cat bowls and a cat litter, but then later on they say there's no cats in the city for 20 years. But that stuff's in the game.
Yeah, I think that apartment. No, I did straight away. I was like, what is he doing? He's an absolute melt. This is awful. Why is he getting into bed? Lying across the bed sideways.
Yeah, I thought.
I'll tell you what as well. I can't wait to see a list of Easter eggs in this game because I found fucking.
Well, I was really gutted with the one you told me because I just don't think that game's earned it, and it's really actually kind. It's. Oh, I'm not. If you listen to Game of the Year last year, you'll know probably which game it is. But there's a game that released last year that's not earned the right to be in an Easter egg in a CD Projekt Red game for me, but whatever. Sorry, Chris. Carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to carry on ranting about him flopping on the bed. To be honest, I did it once. The first time, and I thought, okay, he's just knackered and he's passed out and he's just done his thing. And then every time, and it irritates me every time, and even to the point where Zoe, my wife, went, "Is he just lie down sideways?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's his thing. That's what
this
he does."
Game.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Does he make love sideways though?
Well, when you wake up in someone else's bed, which I did several times,
you
still wake up at weird oblique angles.
No, he can't even put the effort in someone
Celibate
else's
for me
bed.
then. Celibacy after all.
Amazing.
Shall we try and talk about another game this episode, or
Let's do it.
Who's someone's put Immortals Fenyx Rising on? Who? That's got to be you, Chris.
It wasn't me. I'm happy to talk about it, but it wasn't me.
I don't. It might have been Adam Carroll because I know he's. I
actually think it was me because I assumed that Chris hadn't said anything about it yet, so we should.
I don't think I have. I haven't said anything on the pod about it.
Don't check.
No,
Do you like it? It's a good game.
I mean, it's a great game. It's one, it's caught me by surprise a lot. I like, I think a lot's been made of the whole. Well, it's just Breath of the Wild, and I feel like people are ignoring the fact that that's a bloody great benchmark of a game to start with.
There's 3 people I know that I was like, if it gets past them, it's okay. I was the first, and I was like, initially, everyone, right, is like, fuck. But I was like, no, actually, I just really like this. But then I was like, right, massive Zelda fans, Nintendo fans. It's Chris Hyde and Adam Carroll. Now I know, spoilers, that Adam Carroll likes it, but you were the last one. I was like, is he all right with the Zelda-y stuff?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, some of it's very on the nose, isn't it? Some of it's not even trying to hide how much it's copying the.
I'd argue most of it isn't.
Yeah, but do you know what? Like, I honestly don't mind because it's executed well. Like, it's not just like a poor person's Breath of the Wild, and
no.
For me, there is enough difference in there. Like the world. I mean, I know stylistically wise, it looks a bit similar, in terms of color palettes and stuff, but it feels very different to the way the Breath of the Wild map is built up. I think, and I like as well. Like the skill tree upgrades a lot more in this game, and the way that you can unlock a lot of things.
It's more gamey.
It's more gamey. It is. It's more gamey.
It's more gamey, less
artistic, I guess, or
maybe.
But yeah, very much so. And to the point where I was like, mild spoiler again in terms of the skills you can unlock. But I was obviously crawling up the cliff faces and using stamina like you do in Breath of the Wild, and I was like, really wish there was a jump button here. And then I realized, it's hidden somewhere in the upgrade tree, and then you realize there's lots of things that are hidden in these upgrade trees, and then you get to the point where I'm like, okay, I've got some coins put up. There's 7 different upgrades that I want,
and I want all of them
cool,
now. Really,
and they all sound like they're really gonna improve and enhance the way I play this game. And then suddenly you go from the combat being just, quick attack and heavy attack to stun, and you're like, oh no, there's lots of different options I can do here, and lots of things I can combo together to suddenly take down some of these enemies that I was getting my arse handed to me, in the first couple of hours. I'm suddenly a don at this now because I've worked out what I can do to balance my attack and my stamina all together and combo it up, and it's really well put together. I like the humor actually. I thought I wouldn't
do too.
I've heard a lot of people go, "Oh, isn't it just trying to be too funny?" I'm like, well, okay, yes, it's clearly trying to be funny, but I feel like it succeeds, and it's not. I don't think it's not too far the other way where it's just like forced humor. There's a lot of it, little one-liners, but it's actually quite dry and quite witty and quite funny, and that's kind of my humor. And I don't mind. I actually quite enjoy it. Quite a lot of the, like the loading screens, which I will say, going up to a Series X, are much shorter, so I have less time to read them. But some of the little quips from Zeus, when he's, they give you a hint and he says something about it underneath, and I'm like, that's quite witty.
Some of them are weird. Some of them are weird. There's a bit that I think there's a few of them that you're like, that would maybe have been cut under different directors but most of it's fine.
Yeah. So I've not. There's a lot of big games on my list of currently playing at the moment.
I think everyone is there.
I think we'll talk about Watch Dogs in a minute. It's another one, and they're all big. So I feel like all of them I've not got to a place where I'm like, I've seen most of it because I haven't. But I'm normally one of these people that will. I think I've said this before, Adam. I play a game and that's what I play, and then I move on to the next one. Weird like that. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll juggle a few games."
play like 8 things at once.
I know. See, I end up doing that, but I would much rather be able to focus on a game. And I like to have one game and one. I'm always like basically one game plus FIFA. And
that's why I like this time of year. I love this little period of Christmas just after the
where you ain't got nothing to review or something, and
ain't got nothing to review. I could just play some games.
Whatever.
So so at the moment, I'm having to juggle at least these 3, and there's others that I want to spend more time on, and I haven't even touched like Valhalla or anything. But so there's loads of big games, but it's nice to kind of. There's enough difference about all of them to just change, and they're all enjoyable. And I'm really, Immortals is one of those games that I have no problem just dropping back in and playing it for another couple of hours. You can pick up where you left off with the story or the side missions that you're doing, and it's engaging enough to not. So you can just almost pick up and play, even though I say that and I end up playing it for 4 hours straight because I'm enjoying myself so much. But it never feels like I need to do a proper session of this because I need to get in the zone. It's very easy to just play, and it's just very enjoyable. Like I say, the combat is really good. I like the humor. I like the way it looks. So yeah, really enjoying that game.
Okay. Anything else you're playing? Like, there's no point asking Mick because he's just been like balls deep in Cyberpunk.
Balls deep. So very interesting parallels, like you mentioned a minute ago. I've been playing Watch Dogs Legion for the first time again. So I've been playing the first sort of few hours of that, which is it's a very surreal game because obviously it's based in London.
Yes.
Enjoying that as well. There's some very interesting similarities between that and Cyberpunk, like you said, in terms of like the hacking and things like that.
I think Watch Dogs Legion has a really bad intro. Like when I previewed it and did like 4 hours of it, I basically everything I played. Game. Yeah, and I played everything I played of that sort of 4, 5. What was it? I can't remember now. It was over 4 hours of preview. I loved it. I was like, wow, this is going to be on my list. And then when I got the final game and I played the intro, it's like this intro is really bad. It's really bad.
Really
it's so
action heavy.
It's action heavy. It feels kind of like they want it to be Bond, but not. And it's really
it feels
kind of
like
flat.
They wrote this for the game and then went, actually, this isn't strong enough to carry it.
So do you know what? It's funny. It's funny you say that because when I previewed it, at the end of that intro, you know, he goes up on the roof and there's the scene where it introduces the kind of big bad. The presentation before the playing was that cutscene. And that cutscene was actually enough to set the scene for me, knowing what I didn't need the tutorial. I've played a video game before. So that cutscene, which sets the scene of this James Bond guy meeting... I actually have forgotten the name of the not Zero Day. I've genuinely
Zero Day.
Is it? Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Of meeting that, of the explosions going off, of the kind of this is the conceit for this game. Well, this is what is happening. That little cutscene, which is like 2.5, 3 minutes long, I was fine. So when I then played the final game, I was like, wow, they built this up too much. Like just give you a little bit of control, show you that cutscene, throw you into the game. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I really think it's a bad intro. Really,
it's interesting because, like, I obviously knew more about the game from, like, obviously, the reviews and the previews and everything, and then obviously paid attention to the game as it's come around. But that intro, you end up thinking it's almost like an action shooter.
Yeah.
And I didn't think there was that much gunplay in this. I thought it was more about stealth and hacking and things. You can, obviously.
But like I said in the preview, that 4 hours, I barely fired a gun. I didn't need to. It's not the fun part of that game for me.
No, it isn't. It really isn't. I will say, obviously, we spoke before, I think, about the core blimey governor accents. Yeah. It hasn't bothered me as much in the fights, the brawling. It very much is terrible. It is so far over
Danny
the top.
Dyer, isn't it?
It's worse. It's
worse
than Danny Dyer.
Worse,
it's like Danny Dyer and Acid. It's so far in the spectrum of the stereotypical, Londoner that it's like, oh, blimey, shit in hell, all that sort of stuff. Like, and it's just too much.
Hell.
Yeah, it's too much. But the rest of it, I have to say, like, because my first character, part of the crew, I guess, was this. I picked her purely because this woman has got a lifetime ban from London Zoo. I thought, if you're getting a lifetime ban from London Zoo, you're my kind of woman. God knows what she's done to get a lifetime ban, but she sounds like someone I want to control. And yeah, she's got a bit of I guess an urban accent, but not. It wasn't really like to the nth degree of it, and I just felt like I feel like the characters in. I mean, I've only got a few in my crew so far. I just got the ones I feel I need to keep them all ticking over. But when they interact with each other, I feel like I'm not cringing when I'm hearing them, and I thought I would be.
See, I think what you've described there is actually I've got the opposite problem of, is that you pick the character there because of their backstory. I think for me the biggest problem that system has, which I otherwise think is really cool, is that I couldn't give a shit about any of their their narrative traits. I pick them because of that guy can hack that, or he's got this already. That's what I'm picking them for.
After that,
okay.
when I'm literally given a choice of 12 people and I'm not too far in the story to know what's really good and what I'm gonna need right now, I'm like, right, well, the difference here is she's been banned from London Zoo, so she's getting picked. But after that, you're like, right, well, I need a construction worker, I need a barrister, I need a paramedic, all those sorts of things.
See,
kind of like,
I think once you've recruited the people that you need, you need them for your team to get people out of prison, get people out of hospital, whatever.
The insurance
to be honest, I think the game is broken by the construction worker.
I agree
completely. I think
the
massive fucking wrench and the instant fly-in power is just I barely used anybody else after.
And that's the big problem. I don't know how they actually solve that problem, because the actual nature of this kind of the cool, and we'll talk more on Game of the Year stuff, I'm sure, but the kind of nature of that cool idea is based upon you being able to recruit anyone. So I hear the complaints about how that affects the story, and it does. It makes it very difficult to relate or invest in the story.
I thought it was a bit.
Yeah,
I was let down by the fact that I was trying to recruit the spy as a spy. There's several spies.
Yeah.
I was trying to recruit a spy, and I had to go and do something for him. So I was on my way to do it, and I passed by a bunch of the police just like duffing up some young woman.
Yes,
so
I heard that a lot.
I waded in, broke it up, and it turned out to be the spy's sister. So the spy called me straight after and went, "I'm in." That was it. So it skipped his mission. I'd saved his sister. He owed us one. He was on board. Brilliant. Then I thought, well, there's got to be something in that. So I jumped into... I jumped into his sister. Ubisoft's fault. I jumped into his sister, and I went to pick him up. I thought this would be there's going to be a moment here. And I got out, and she just went, "You're on board." And it was exactly the same dialogue as if they'd never met. And I was like... I thought there'd be something. I thought there'd be do you know what I mean? If you're going to put siblings in the game, at least
one thing I will say,
a line of dialogue to say, "Have you called mum?" or something.
One thing I will say, I can't remember if you guys mentioned it before. I'm quite impressed because obviously the different people you can have on your team, and there's obviously various points in the story where they talk to each other about the mission that they're going to go and do, or the situation that they're currently in. And obviously there's so many different combinations you could have, and so the fact that a lot of it's voiced must be voiced by so many different people, I think it's good. It's not just text. I quite like the fact that a lot of it's voice acted clearly by so many people, just on the off chance you've recruited those people already so far in the story. I thought that was a nice touch. I appreciate that.
I've never said this phrase on this podcast, I don't believe. But I think one of my biggest problems with it is genuinely the kind of ludonarrative dissonance between the game they marketed and the game that it is. Because I still, after all those hours previewing it and playing it at retail, I still don't see the video game with the crazy granny hitting everyone and all this hilarious stuff. It's still a game that ultimately has storylines about human trafficking and slavery and
But you could be a granny with a silly hat, but it doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't change the story.
No, and I mean, the cops still shoot her dead, like they shoot everybody else. Or the bad cops, whatever they are, the mercenary, the paramilitary. They see you. Oh, there's an old granny hitting someone with a handbag. Let's just unload fucking several cannons on her. Or they do it to the construction worker who just came in like the shittest Spider-Man ever to quote her.
It's true though. I actually like that game. I will be interested to see where it winds up, because
I gave it a high score when I reviewed.
I can't even remember. That feels like, I mean, Ubisoft. Let's face it, they literally went Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, Immortals. It was 1 month, one after the other, and certainly a way of doing it. But there's only so many hours for open world games.
People only talk about Assassin's Creed.
They do, and to me, it's crazy because the best one's Immortals. But we'll come to that soon, not here. But speaking of only so much, there's only so much time for a podcast. We've got a lot of work to do and a lot of hours to record. If you aren't familiar with it, maybe go and look at last year's Game of the Year stuff. This year, it's going to be on camera. There's going to be some time traveling involved and some fun japes, and just fucking watch it, man. It takes ages, and I'm already utterly hanging when it comes to needing some sleep. So just watch it.
And me and Mick are on it this year. So
absolutely debuts.
What reason we need further than 2 stunning
New
debuts?
voices.
Yeah.
Yes. I just watch it and share it, and just that's all there is to it. And do you know what? Watch it and listen to it early by going to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Professional. Thank you very much to Chris and Mick for being here tonight, this evening, this morning, whenever you're listening. See, or you never catch me out. We will be back soon. I'm genuinely at this point, date-wise can't work out if we have another one. I think this may be the last one before GOTY, or I've always liked the hashtag GOTY. No, hang on, GIAGGOTY, because it kind of sounds like Quagmire going giggity. Doesn't it? Like
that's all I'm going to be able to think of now.
GIAGGOTY. Genuinely, no one else has put that together. No, that's just a thing
not
for
now,
nearly 10 years I've been looking at going, it looks like GIAGGOTY.
Giggity.
It suits me. No, I mean, it sounds... Thank you for being here for this podcast.
We know what you meant.
Yeah, thousands won't and someone will spin it, but then that's life. Thank you very much for listening or watching this podcast. You can find it if you are listening or watching or whichever the alternate is, but you can find it on all good podcast services and some bad ones. Also on YouTube. That sounds like subscribe. And we will see you. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you whenever you choose to listen. Next week, next month, next year. Might look a bit weird as a Christmas tree, but catch you soon. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.